was stuff that I produced. You know, I got nothing for it. He came along and just scavenged about what it had was. Yes. And cobbled it together. So I don't know what's the order like, because it's what? Over there. I'd just like to say, you know, Martin kept his eye through Bruce Mitchell was, you know, the introduction, because we had this thing, Music Force, which really was a political kind of group. It was intended to be political. There was myself and Victor Brox and Bruce Mitchell. And Bruce wanted to introduce Martin, and I thought, well, I'm not sure, you know, his feet, his shoes were too big. His shoes looked like they were from the catalogue. You know, he had club feet, you know, they're from the catalogue. And I just said he's the wrong sort of guy. But it turned out that, you know, he was really useful. He had a brain that took us in different directions. You know, he had positive ideas. But I was frightened of him, you know, because he was kind of forceful. He would shout at me, and he would shout for minutes, you know. He'd shout, what? You know? And it just, I thought, this guy's, you know, he's a bit evil. But in actual fact, after he'd done his what, he would stand back and have a quiet giggle to himself, you know, and just laugh it off and walk away. But he turned out to be, he had this kind of theory about money, you know, about the way that, he was also talking about cross-fertilisation. We've got to cross-fertilise. What the hell are we cross-fertilising? You know, we're not agriculturists or whatever. And he had this kind of whole attitude that we had to know about business. And he was the most chaotic person. He wasn't a business person whatsoever, you know, but he had the language for it. And eventually it cost us a lot of money. Because, you know, he'd want to do something in the studio that we'd have a budget for maybe 16 grand, you know, and it'd come in at something like 26, 30, and you'd wonder, you know, why is this? And there'd be a bill at the end of the week, you know, for refreshments, which came down to like 12.5 grand. You know, how much fucking orange juice can you drink? You know, what's that about? Yeah, 12.5 grand refreshments. And it was refreshments that you could only take intravenously or whatever, you know. It was so bizarre. You know, so we never made money in radio records, and I still get kids. You know, I beg your pardon. I'm making money tonight. I've had to get an aeroplane ticket. I've got the food bill with me yet. But he intrigued me, you know, because he had this kind of weird scientific thing going on in his head. But it wasn't just like electronics and other things. It was organic chemistry thing, you know, because he would actually know about chemicals that would bring Chris Lee back to life. We've got to get around and rescue Chris. You know, he's about 10 minutes from death. You know, take this to the chemist, get it. You administer it for about 2 hours, and slowly Chris would come back to life and say, anyone fancy the book? You know. So he was. He intrigued me, but he was annoying. You know, I found him as a business partner. Lawrence Beadle was the asset in Radio Records. He was the only person that had any sense, really. I was too busy thinking about sticking posters and fighting with the people that put posters in opposition to me and things like that. You know, in actual fact, Lawrence just sat behind the desk and really got on with it and made the whole thing work. And I think he's disappeared. Are you still here, Lawrence? No, he's gone. He's had enough. And it's Radio Records was poached. It poached. Well, Factory Records poached Martin away from us. You know, Tony Wilson would come round, and Alan Erasmus would come round and stand in the office and watch what we were trying to do. We didn't know what we were doing. You know, we were chaotic. You know, we didn't have an idea what we were doing. about how all this business works, you know, how you make a tape into a disc, make sleeves and get design done and all that sort of stuff. It was all really new. So Tony and Alan were watching this, and they actually, it did them a lot of good, you know, because they knew where to go to get their sleeve printed, they knew where to get their disc printed, and they took an advantage of that and actually worked a much better record company than we could have possibly worked, you know, because they had the idea of marketing, which we didn't have, you know, we would probably give stuff away more than try to sell it, you know. But there were things, I never liked the music that we did. I've never liked any kind of popular music, especially if it's, you know, connected with Manchester. I can't stand all that nonsense stuff. That whole stuff that just, I mean, I like the Hollies. I thought, you know, this is good stuff. But, you know, I'm a jazz fan, I'm just, you know, I prefer to listen to that sort of stuff. And Martin had quite a knowledge about jazz music. You know, he didn't actually spout it a lot, you know, but he had it. You know, he knew about things. He knew about, especially jazz bass players. You know, double bass. You know, he was quite knowledgeable about all that. So, on some level, we connected there, but the rest of it, I didn't want to know about love and Leonard Cohen and, you know, all that sort of stuff. It wasn't me. You know, I was more in John Coltrane, and it was, that was the only kind of area that we connected on in some ways, was his idea of what was good jazz, and I think some of it, you know, by the way that he picked people to play on the records with Parkin, you know, things like, you know, people like Dave Tomlinson, you know, I mean, Dave steeped in jazz, you know, Linoki, good players, you know, people that he chose. He was great at actually putting, he was a fixer, he could put people together. He knew how to build a nice augmented band, you know, do that. And I admired him for that, you know, because I didn't really know what Martin's musical ability was. You know, I'd never really listened to his bass player, because he very rarely played. You know, he was secret and mysterious about that. You know, I didn't really have an idea of what his ability was. And I still don't know that, you know, whether he was actually any good on, because on the albums he made with John, which I really like, you know, the stuff he did with John Clark, I thought they were excellent, you know, they were brilliant. And I don't know who, he had bass players on those that he'd hired in, obviously, you know, that, I thought, he did not Top Pops, what's that thing called with that guy that whispers? Yes, Jesus, you know. And Martin sat there, you know, with his leg over his other leg on a chair, and he's playing the bass, you know. I never knew to be able to do that. He made us buy a bass that, it had like a V at the top of it. I don't know what this bass was, but we had to get it. What was it called? A Kramer, that was it, yeah. Kramer with Kramer. It's great. Oh, can you speak up? Yeah, it's a Kramer with a metal neck. And it cost a fortune, you know. I thought, why? Well, you know, you had that high end of things, you know, if you wanted something, it had to be good. You know, when he talked about us actually having to invest in this thing called the AMS, what was that thing you've got over there? The AMS 1580S. And we thought, what? Yeah, it was like 1,200 quid. You can buy them now for about 80 or something like that, you know, the same thing. And, you know, we had to have this thing, and all it did was like either slow things down, speed things up, or make them wobble. I don't know, you know, I wasn't involved in all that. All I did was stick with boxes, put money into this thing, you know. And I quite liked it, you know, I was quite admired what we did, but it wasn't, you know, my heart wasn't in the music, I must admit, you know. Good one. We're going to introduce this film, which Chris, you know, actually stole out of the skin outside.
Stole it out of the skin, but we scared him. That's it before it.
Yeah, I'll take that away. So I'm responsible for editing this stuff. I'm responsible for shooting. You know, there are people in here that I've noticed that did shoot some of it who've said,